Alright, what's up everybody? Welcome back to more 428 Shibuya Scramble. My name is Raven from the Sky. Let's do this. Alright, we saw this last episode. Basically, he's going to intervene with them strong-arming the kid, trying to shake him down. I'm going too fast, just pause the video. So we changed that so he won't be getting ambushed. Now it seemed like all these young fellows were ready to follow suit, eager to take him down a peg. Your old news, pal. Ain't your business to tell us how to do things. Ooh boy, Aichi felt a confusing flood of anger and sadness that he couldn't quite control. I'm not messing around here, you guys. He grabbed the nearest punk by the collar and hefted him up in the air. Then someone shouted from behind him, "Hey, what are you doing?" Aichi put the guy down and turned around to see Susumu standing there. Mind telling me just what's going on here, Aichi? Susumu flashed his underlings a sharp glare. They immediately took to their heels. Aichi wasn't about to just let them go. He raced after them. No, we saw where that went. Just what the hell was going on with SOS? Aichi needed to talk to Susumu. Just what the heck was going on with SOS? Yeah. I guess it is a good thing even though you don't start right after where you left off when you go to the next block of time. You can start wherever. I know it may be like a bad ending, but it like lets you know what right choices to make when you choose the person. You know what I mean? The correct person, the person that's a part of that bad ending. That's from another storyline. If that makes any sense. I'm jumping all over the place here. But yeah. But I thoroughly enjoyed this game. This is the more I've commentated most on this in any other series. So much. Well, basically, I was reading text, but still, the most I've ever talked in a series. I asked what was going on here. There was a threatening note in Susumu's voice. Oh, threatening note. That's what I want to know. What the heck's happened to SOS, man? Susumu's face twisted with displeasure. You're an outsider now. That's none of your business. I don't give a darn if it's my business or not. When I left you in charge of SOS, you shut your mouth. Susumu roared. Yeah, that's right. You left me in charge. So, don't you dare give me lip now about how I run things. His sudden ferocity left Aichi at a loss for words. You're not the one busting your ass out here. I am. Susumu stalked towards Aichi, his face red with emotion. I've had to work so hard to keep things going with you gone. Do you have any idea what it's been like? Do you know what I've had to put myself through to keep SOS together? There was nothing Aichi could say to that. And it ain't. Shoot, he got you on that one, dude. I understand what Aichi's, it's wrong to strong arm, but it's like you're not the boss anymore. You left him in charge. It's just an opinionated. Now it's like you're entitled to your opinions, but if you're not a part of the group, what can you do? He just kept his mouth shut and let Susumu talk. That's all he can do. You know, you were gone. Correct. I thought maybe I could do things like you did. All at once, Susumu seemed to deflate a little. He hung his head, hiding his face. And if I couldn't be like you, then, hey man, I get it, and I'm sorry. But Susumu kept his face averted. Please, he muttered. Stay out of our business. Then he turned on his heel and headed off without looking back. Aichi watched him leave, feeling a painful sting. Aichi, Hitomi asked after Susumu was gone. Are you sure you're okay leaving things like this? Aichi shrugged heavily. Susumu said he's doing what he can. It's not my place to butt in. Turned his back on Hitomi, he still needed a moment. Aichi, you're being unreasonable. About what? He felt like he'd been wounded to his very core, and he wasn't sure what to do about it. He wanted to help people who are in trouble, right? Yeah, I guess. Aichi's voice was glum. Well, I'm in a whole lot of trouble right now. Yeah, I know that. No, Aichi, you don't. Hitomi's tone was clipped and firm. Please, go to your sister. What are you talking about? That doesn't matter now. Yes, it does. Hitomi's shout stopped him in his tracks. Right now, the thing I'm having the most trouble with is that you won't go to the hospital. Don't you get it? How can I possibly be happy with you helping me if you have to sacrifice your own sister to do it? Archie couldn't answer that, and he knew it. Please go to the hospital. I'm asking you to, and I'm definitely someone in trouble, so it doesn't count as breaking your promise, right? I appreciate that, Archie said softly, and I'll remember it when this is all done. So yeah, how about we drop by the hospital for a bit? You know what? I better not get no bad ending for this. So yeah, how about we drop by the hospital for a bit? The emotions Aichi had been trying to hide now came welling to the surface. Well, we'll go see Suzune, and after that, we can go look for your sister. Would that be okay with you? That would be more than okay with me. And at long last, Hitomi smiled at him. Back in sync with each other, Aichi and Hitomi headed to the hospital. Shibuya Central Hospital was one of the foremost general hospitals in Japan, outfitted with top-notch medical facilities and staffed by highly skilled personnel. Individuals like Suzune with rare blood types were sent to the hospital from far and wide because of its cutting-edge hematology center. I guess hematology. What is that? The hospital division that deals with blood. Its goal is to provide high-end care to patients with blood disorders, including blood screening, treatments, transfusions, the management and supply of blood products, and other related services. Aichi asked Hitomi to stay in the waiting area, while he headed on into the hospital proper. From the visitor's entrance, he passed by the nurse's station, then entered the cardiovascular medicine section and walked along a row of examination rooms. The cardiovascular system includes the heart as well as various blood vessels that circulate blood throughout the body. Cardiovascular medicine deals with heart and blood issues such as what is that? Angina? Heart attacks? Heart failure, I know what that is. Irregular pulse. What? Irregular pulse and the like. Well, what is angina though? And what does it mean when you have an irregular pulse? He walked by the first room as quietly as possible, catching sight of a mother and daughter sitting together in chairs in the hallway. The mother was crying softly. "Oh, Takuya, he's only 15, she murmured under her breath. The name Takuya didn't ring a bell. It was the only 15 that got a reaction out of Aichi. Only 15? He couldn't imagine anything good coming after that. To be cruelly taken away when one was still so young. Aichi could feel the woman's pain as deeply as if it was his own. When he reached Suzune's room, Dr. Saiki, the attending physician, explained her condition. The doctor did his best to keep his explanation simple, but Aichi was too worked up to process much of what he said. He did manage to wrap his head around a few things. At around 10 o'clock that morning, Suzune had a seizure. Oh no. For a while it had been touch and go, but finally her condition had stabilized. However, since she hadn't regained consciousness yet, She wasn't allowed any visitors. That was the gist, as far as Aichi could tell. What's your father doing today? He still hasn't come by, Dr. Saiki said. Aichi wasn't sure what to tell him. It was certainly odd. There was no way his father wouldn't have rushed right to the hospital if he'd heard Suzune had taken a turn for the worse. I'll give you a call once she's woken up. For now, you can head home for the day. All right. Please, keep a close eye on her, Doctor. Somberly, Aichi went to find Hitomi in the waiting room. Outpatient reception had closed for the day, leaving the hospital quiet. His footsteps echoed softly in the corridors. Then, as he walked along, a particular sound drew his attention. It had come from over by the base of a nearby stairwell. Aichi took a peek around the corner. Oh! The sight that greeted him nearly made him gasp aloud. In the dim light up ahead, he saw Kanan, and she had some white guy pressed against the wall, a knife to his throat. Aichi quickly yanked his head back out of view. Could it be? Was this the man Kanan said she was after? Aichi had to resist the urge to go charging out there. Some amateur heading and half-cocked might well be more of a liability to Kanan than any sort of help. He heard her mutter something to the man in English. We know nothing about Alfred's background nationally, sex, age. Aichi could just barely make out the words, but since it was all in English, he had no idea what they meant. But we do know that whoever they are, they have connections to Langley, slang for the U.S. Central Intelligence Agency, headquartered in Langley, Virginia, similar to referring to the Japanese government as Nagatacho. The CIA has other nicknames including the company, the agency, the second government, the invisible government, and the coup makers. I know they had all them aliases. Aichi peeked out again, very cautiously, in a time to see the man raise an eyebrow at Kanan's words. Interesting. It doesn't mean you need to threaten me at knife point, though. He flashed her a thin smile. It does, actually, because I happen to know that you're a CIA agent. Oh. No sooner were Kanan's words out than the man grabbed her arm and tried to hurl her against the wall. Just before her head connected, though, she jackknifed her upper body forward, then planted both feet against the wall and kicked off with a tremendous force. She used her momentum to launch herself forward, regaining her position with her knife against the man's throat. Wow, but during his brief opening, the man had managed to draw a gun from inside his jacket. Now the barrel was pressed right against Kanan's heart. Aichi swallowed the lump in his throat. How about we call it a truce? Kanan said softly. She withdrew her knife. Yeah, sounds like you and me are both after the same thing. The man likewise lowered his gun. With a faint smile, Kanan turned her back on him and vanished down the adjacent stairwell. Aichi had no idea what had just happened. They'd stopped fighting, though, so this guy probably wasn't Kanan's mastermind after all. If only Aichi spoke a little English, he might have been able to follow their conversation. He found himself wishing he'd taken school more seriously. When he looked again, he saw that the man had too disappeared. Hitomi stood up from her chair as Aichi hurried into the waiting area. How's Suzune? She asked. For now, she's not in any immediate danger, they said. That's good to hear. But more importantly, Kanan was here just now. What? Why? I'm not sure. I'm not smart enough to figure that out. Aichi slumped his shoulders. Huh? What? I'm not quite sure what you mean. Exactly. I couldn't understand anything she was saying. Hell, he couldn't even figure out how to get through to Hitomi. May I have a moment? A voice spoke unexpectedly from behind Aichi. His breath caught in his throat as he turned around. Standing there was the man Kanan had been struggling with. What's up? Aichi asked. He tried to sound as nonchalant as possible, but the man wasn't looking at Aichi. You're Hitomi Osawa, is that right? Yes. Hey, Aichi snapped. Keep your distance. He stepped protectively in front of Hitomi. This guy, he's not what he looks like. Aichi clenched his fist and adopted a defensive posture. Huh? Hitomi seemed panicked. Aichi said, this might be the person Kanan was warning us about. Oh, no. I don't know who he is, but he's not our friend. I don't know. Both of these seems viable. Let's go with option A. This might be the person Kanan was warning us about. Oh ho, you know Kanan, do you? The man spoke without changing his facial expression. She let a few things slip herself. Look, who the heck are you? Aichi demanded. The man calmly reached into his jacket pocket. Fearing he might be about to draw his gun, Aichi braced for action. My name is Jack Stanley. I'm a security assistance officer with the U.S. Embassy. Aichi held back his punch as the man held out his ID card. You know what an ID card is? Embassy. What does someone from the U.S. Embassy want with me? Hitomi asked timidly. You're being targeted by a dangerous criminal. I'm here to take you to into protective custody. Aichi's temper flared. Buzz off, pal. We're busy here. Busy searching for Maria Osawa? Stanley asked. Aichi and Hitomi exchanged glances. I know the full details of the trouble you currently find yourselves in. Well, alright then, Aichi said. Then you should know we don't have time to get taken into custody. I'm afraid you don't understand the situation we're dealing with. We're up against a dangerous international criminal here. Taking reckless action is only going to put her life in danger. Don't be a fool. This is no time to play the knight in shining armor. Hey! Aichi was infuriated, but he couldn't think of a comeback. After all, it was true that Hitomi had run into danger time and time again, and while she was with him, yep. But I'm already safe, Hitomi insisted. I'm only here right now because Aichi has been protecting me. She eyed Stanley sharply. I've got Aichi with me. I don't need your protection. Aichi felt a surge of pride that practically brought tears to his eyes. If Hitomi would have let him, he'd have given her an enormous hug. Stanley grimaced in resignation. All right. In that case, how about I join your search for Maria? I can help keep you safe that way instead. I don't know. Hitomi grabbed hold of Aichi's sleeve. This Stanley fellow didn't have the most trustworthy face, Aichi thought. But he realized that he might be biased after being chased around by foreigners all day. After all, if this guy really were after Hitomi, he'd probably have already made a show of force. Not only did he have a gun on him, he was sufficiently skilled in martial arts to hold his own against Kanan. He'd have no trouble taking down a single unarmed opponent like Aichi. Hitomi, I get the impression this Stanley guy is not our enemy right now. Hitomi gave a slight nod. Alright. I trust your judgment on this, Aichi. Now then, what's the plan from here? Stanley asked. Not wandering aimlessly around town, I hope. There was a trace of snidiness in his voice. You can just keep your mouth shut, Aichi replied. We can wander around town all day if we feel like it. You can play the snarky game, he thought to himself. Poor Hitomi looked distressed. Very well. If that's what you want, I can stay quiet. But first, I need to inform the police that I have Miss Osawa in my custody. Wait, hold on, Hitomi blurted. That isn't a good idea, Stanley inclined his head. Why is that? Well, since you already seem to know most of the story, Hitomi quickly explained the kidnapper's threat and described the search for the minivan. Stanley remained quiet, listening with obvious interest. I see, he said when she'd finished. Still, when that minivan exploded, didn't that make your promise to the kidnappers a moot point? Hitomi nodded. I suppose it did, didn't it? Let me ask just one more question. Do either of you know a detective by the name of Tantino? No. We haven't run into any detectives. Yeah, exactly. The only folks we seem to run into are guys who are after Hitomi. I see. A grin expression crossed Stanley's face. Right. I'm going to get in touch with the investigation task force. I'll have them contact your parents for you. Would you mind speaking with them so they can confirm it's really you? Sure, all right, Hitomi said. Stanley got on his wireless and described their current situation. Mr. Endo, hold on. Suddenly, Dr. Saike appeared running down the hallway. There's something I forgot to tell you regarding your father. Oh? I actually got a sinking feeling. I got a call from him yesterday afternoon, and he asked me something rather odd. Preparations for a transplant. I'm sorry. I'm not entirely sure I understand what you're asking. Saiki clutched the receiver. Daisuke Endo's brooding tone was more than a little disturbing. No, it's all right, Endo said. This is all just difficult to talk about, Doctor. Please forget I said anything. There's just one important thing I wanted to let you know. Yes? There's going to be a brain-dead woman coming your way at probably around 9 o'clock this evening, I expect. Her blood type is Bombay. Bombay was an extremely rare blood type that Endo's daughter, Suzune, possessed. Any transplant donor for Suzune would also need to have Bombay blood type. Since she has the same blood type as Suzune, the transplant itself isn't an issue, Endo continued. The only thing I'm concerned about is whether the procedure can be done within the limited time window. And I hate to trouble you, but I just called because I think it would be best to prepare for the surgery as soon as possible. The more Saiki heard, the more disturbed he grew. Felt like he was listening to this man go on about some strange delusion. Doctor, please, just take good care of Suzune. With that, Endo hung up. Aichi kept quiet as he listened to Dr. Saiki tell his story. Of course, that was yesterday, and I still haven't heard anything about a brain-dead girl turning up. After all, only God would know when someone would wind up in a state of brain death. But still, there was just something very strange about what your father said. It was as if he was certain that someone was going to wind up brain dead or... Just stop right there, Aichi exclaimed. Stanley and Hitomi turned in surprise. They were still in the middle of their wireless call to the police. Don't get me wrong, the doctor said hastily. I'm not trying to imply that your father would hurt anyone. What I'm worried about is your father's mental state and... No, Aichi interrupted him again. That's not it. His own words from earlier spun within his head. So long as we have these cameras, this guy has nowhere to run. Security cameras. I'm sure this is the place. The man with the cane, he had been on the phone with someone. That didn't mean anything. It was just a coincidence. It couldn't be true. Aichi searched desperately for some other explanation. That wasn't it. Anyone from the downtown committee could have used the camera monitoring room. Yeah, no one's been by to check today. Nothing wrong with a little nap, yeah? Alright, no dice. No one from downtown had been by the surveillance room today. It couldn't be. It couldn't. I should begin to tremble. Is something the matter? Hitomi asked. Aichi, you're pale as a ghost. Aichi gazed beseechingly back into her face. With just one simple question. He could clear this whole thing up. Please tell me I'm overthinking this. He prayed inwardly before asking. Hitomi, would you mind telling me your blood type? Why do you ask? Please just tell me. I have sort of a weird type, Hitomi said. It's called Bombay. The last piece of the puzzle fell into place. There was no longer any room for doubt. Aichi found himself facing a sad and painful truth. Why? With an anguished scream, Aichi punched the wall as hard as he could. But his fist still didn't hurt as much as his heart. Dad, why? To be continued. Ladies and gentlemen, thanks for watching. My name is Raven from the Sky. If you enjoyed the episode, drop a like and subscribe to the channel and the series grow. Take care. I'll catch you guys in the next episode. Peace.